So, I asked a question by one of my viewers, and the channel name is question regarding the future and the horrible, bad things that are about to take place. It's a big assumption in the question. First of all, that it would happen that way, and second of all, that I would have any knowledge about it. But I think that those assumptions can be just accepted as correct. I think there's a lot of things that are going to be going on, and it's not all negative. A lot of it's positive. And the things that are going to happen are not going to affect everybody. It all depends on your attachments. Depends on how you live your life. In other words, one of the things that we're going to see is the banking system collapse again. It's already happening in a lot of the different nations. You had it several years ago in Argentina. You have it going on right now with Greece and with Spain. Spain is a hotspot right now for revolutionary activity. You have something going on in Iceland. You have something going on in Japan. There's a major conflicts and failures of the economic order. There is a global financial web. And these are just small parts of it. They're a reflection of the whole. And the whole thing is basically what they're trying to put together after 50, 60 years now. And we're starting to see that it can't perpetuate. So this is a horrible ongoing thing that I can definitely tell you is going on. And I'm watching it. I'm not one of these people like Gerald Solente or Alex Jones or Max Kaiser or these people. What they're doing is very valuable. And we're going into a lot of the details and putting together the data. I really don't dabble in that kind of thing. I don't make a business out of it. I just can tell you for sure that it is going on. And I knew for a long time not to put any faith in it. Not to build up a life based on those things. Like a total dependency on it. Those are the people that are going to get affected the most. But, you know, there's an oligarchy that has a bunch of people around the world who are keeping all their money and their gold. And they don't want to lose what they have. The people who are in the so-called lower class, the working class, or proletariat, whatever you want to call it, they're going to suffer the worst in the next year or two. There's nothing that can be done about it, because the government can't help them. The government's going to be paying attention to its own internal problems. Martial law will be declared in many more places. It's already going on. As part of the Arab Spring, Egypt, Syria, Yemen, Iran, so on and so forth. This is going to happen in a lot of other places. And all of it is tied to money. Currencies, fiat currency. We're trying to switch over to gold standard, and silver will also skyrocket as soon as they stop playing around with gold. There's a limited amount of gold, so they will eventually get into silver. Silver is not much more than 30 or so dollars. It's probably going to go up over 100, but then you're going to have the dollar crushing out. So go up to $1,000 at that point. Now, how much of this is just a scare tactic, and how much of it is really out of control and happening on its own? It's a little bit of both. Will there be diseases? Yeah, increase of diseases. But they're creating diseases. 2 years ago it was swine flu. Before that it was bird flu. Before that it was now bad cow. It's just a series of experiments through the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry is doing and trying to infect people to create business. Of course, the money mongers themselves, they don't have to do anything to create business. Everybody wants the money. They're at the center of it. So that's why I started by saying banking, economy. Now, on a positive note, after all these things happen, you're going to have the possibility of people coming together, doing something different, truly different, much more organized, and much more long-lasting than a lot of different alternative movements that have happened in most of the 20th century. Communes, different movements, protests, civil rights, non-profits such as Greenpeace, Red First, environmental movements. These are the type of people that possibly could get together and really do something new and better as a result of all the horrible things, the collapse that's going to take place. We're in the middle of it happening right now. So I'm not really saying anything, it's speculation. It's really going on. And I think in the 1970s, 1980s, especially in America, we couldn't foresee this. You know, some people feared it, some people thought it was doomsday, but now that it's really coming on, it's kind of eye-opening. That's just a start. If anybody wants to know something more specific, go ahead and make a comment. I don't really seem to be too affected by it all, do I? I'm not freaking out. I'm not in a worry. I can live my life outside the system indefinitely, forever, if I have to, if a new system doesn't get created. And I suggest that all my viewers do the same. Maybe at some point we can network and support each other. What you want to say? This is a video going out to Channel Ninja, 1987 rules. And the question is regarding the 9/11 incident in relation to the Norway shooter of July 2011, which happened recently, and what's to come of these types of things. Okay, I only made a few videos about 9/11, which is not to say that I am or I'm not a truther. I happen to know quite a bit about the subject, and I happen to know things that I feel are verified, and all of it fits within my take on the reality, human civilization, the United States, power politics, or if you want to call it political reality. So, I should give you a little bit of background. I believe that there is a great struggle going on, something that we don't really hear about in the mainstream news in sufficient detail to really allow the public to know what's going on. We see a certain level of things going on and something superficial a lot of times is something that is just created for publicity or straight up propaganda. The struggle that's really going on is between the superpowers, but the superpowers, each of them, and they're all very similar, they cannot let the other superpowers or their own people or the rest of the world and the smaller nations become aware of how they operate, because it's a dishonest game. This has been going on for a long time. In fact, power politics have always been the same all the way back into the oldest recorded history that we have, if it is fact, and not just propaganda. History, of course, is written by the victors, for the most part. Now, these strategies, these methods, these techniques that the superpowers are using in their struggle for supremacy of the government level of existence on the planet, they are unscrupulous, they are unethical, they are immoral, they are flat out breaking all of the rules that they supposedly agree and sign on to, all such treaties and pacts and Geneva Convention and the things that we have developed in the 20th century, and some of it predating it. But most of it is the invention or progress of the 20th century. Things that pertain to torture or assassination, general rules of military engagement, and how you treat your own citizens, the freedoms that they give you, your civil rights, your inalienable rights, the things that are in the U.S. Constitution, and the things that are expected and watched over by such groups as Amnesty International or WikiLeaks. These days, whistleblowers, protesters, and activists everywhere in every corner of the world. So, having said all this, the struggle is ongoing, and it's not just a struggle between government powers, it's a struggle with corporate powers, and this is all capitalistic. They are not at the whim of the government. They play games with the government. And I believe that these are players which actually do a significant amount of damage. People like Rupert Murdoch, who now has just been embarrassed and put to shame, and practically kicked out of the British Isles. Rupert Murdoch is someone who has a lot of power and is struggling to gain more power in the world. But you see, he's not a government person. He's not under these kind of rules. He is in the so-called free market, free enterprise, freedom to do whatever the heck you want if you're greedy enough, and you're going to be so bold as to break as many rules as possible. And how did 9/11 take place? It has everything to do with what I've given you as an introduction. You have some of these corporate players, which are greedmongers. They wanted what they wanted. They looked at their insurance policies for buildings, for Lower Manhattan, liabilities, and blah, 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 all this kind of bureaucratic and regulatory issues. And then they got together in a partnership with the government, who also needed to face some of their issues, which has a lot to do with popularity ratings, which has a lot to do with rallying people together for war, because, let's face it, by a careful study of history, the most certain way to unify the people under leadership is to bring them together for war. And you find an enemy, and that is what the people focus on. They project all their fears, all their anger, and all their violence on this enemy. So, who did the 9/11 event? Who destroyed the property? Who destroyed the planes? Who destroyed the people that were so unlucky to be in those properties and around them? And who affected the health of the emergency workers, foremost the firefighters and emergency crews, all the way through the police officers, security people, and what have you? Who did all this? The corporate people, the government people, because they had to create a big enough, bad enough, shocking enough occurrence that was going to be in all the mainstream news, and now today it continues in my viewers' question and in the minds of everyone that's looking for the truth about it. I don't have any questions in my mind. But I do have a little bit of justification in their need to do this. I feel that with the crisis that America is facing, desperate times call for desperate measures, and this is a perfect example in modern history of just that. Do I agree with the sacrifice of so many lives and the health of so many people that continue to be affected, and survivors' families, and everybody that's indirectly affected? Well, in war they call it collateral damage, and it's to be accepted. Did they need to make further lives if they were WMDs and another target enemy, a scapegoat? Well, I guess it all goes together. Is it terrorism? Well, those that are pointing the finger actually have just as much to do with terrorism as the people who are supposedly bringing the terrorism upon the superpowers. If the superpower was so superior, if the superpower was righteous, if the superpower was organized and fit to be called a superpower, they wouldn't have any problem with terrorism. And being that now it's become their number one problem that they can't solve, and they will perpetually, forever, as long as the nation exists, have to struggle full force against this terrorism problem. They don't sound very respectable to me as far as superpower, as far as nation, as far as empire goes. Sounds like they failed. So, being that I know these things and that they are verified as far as necessary processes of desperate men in a system which is flailing and flawed beyond belief, I see that it's appropriate that they fall down deeper into a hole of despair for the power that will slip from their grasp. Oh well. Now, let me just shift gears here because you wanted a comparison to Norway. Terror. This is supposedly an anti-Muslim terror, and this is a lone gunman type. This is a person with delusions of grandeur. And the only reason why you call somebody delusional with delusions of grandeur is because they are outside of the system. They are not with the good old boys club. Which doesn't make all the delusional people in the good old boys club any less delusional. It just means that they support each other's delusion a little bit better. A lone gunman, such as this man who did the act or the event of terrorizing Norway recently, probably their worst tragedy in recent memory. This is a man on a political military campaign. I wouldn't really compare it to 9/11. So, which is to say, in the past few weeks I haven't been able to make the connections. I haven't analyzed it enough. I don't know everything that's behind it, but eventually I will, because I always do figure out whether I say it or not or make a video about it. If you look at my videos from back in 2005, 2006, 2007, the first few years of YouTube, especially prior to the Google corporate takeover, I really didn't have a lot to say about the conspiracy theories or the flat-out proven mainstream major news of conspiracies. Um, Periodically I do have something to say. I think the Norway shooting may have been orchestrated, and the reason why I say this is because you have these secret, covert departments, they're subdivisions of the governments of the world, especially in superpowers. And these hidden, covert, hideous, corrupt, twisted, delusional groups of mob rules, they have programs that they do which can take individuals and basically develop them over time for the specific purpose of causing havoc. The gunman who supposedly shot Kennedy back in the early 1960s was some sort of patsy as well. And the guy who subsequently assassinated him, Ruby, may have also been someone who was manipulated. All of that is not so clear. It may have just been a crime of passion, a very emotional, right-wing nutcase, or left-wing as the case may be. I don't really delineate that very reliably. I don't see a left-wing, right-wing world anymore. Now, when you think about other assassinations and other famous figures, also Sirhan Sirhan, the other Kennedy assassination in 1968, you start to see patterns unfolding. And the attempted assassination of newly elected President Reagan in March of 1981, you notice the characteristics and the behavior that unfolds, how they do it and what they were doing before, supposedly this kind of information that gets out to the public. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that there is a direct manipulation going on. And then you have to say, for what reason? For what justification can we give it? And then you have to see that their internal power play struggle as to who's in control the superpowers. And in this case, I'm mostly giving examples from the United States, hegemony, oligarchy, and you must start to see it as a plutarchy. So these are the things that I would have discussed anytime we are looking for the facts, for the truth behind the 9/11 events and behind the Norway shooting. As for the future, what's to come, you're going to see more of it. You're going to see more things like the Saddam Hussein being taken out of power. They're now in the process of putting Muammar Gaddafi out of power. Um, a lot of people say it's unjust. It's not war. It's an assassination program. Under false pretenses, just like the WMDs of the Iraqi War. We have the pretense that Gaddafi is slaughtering his own people. Not any more than the United States has ever done and always have done, and possibly will continue to do at a more greater scale if the United States citizens, the people of the great nation, rise up and protest, which eventually they will do. And it seems to be taking a long time, but it takes a long time to move a battleship. We will start to see it more. 2012 will be known as having a great series of revolutionary and counterinsurgency activity. And as for yours truly, I'm going to watch very carefully and study it and look at it for education as well as entertainment, because don't you see the amusement in it all? Don't you see the folly? And power will corrupt those who seek it, those who loathe it, those who are full of violence and the consciousness that is low, that is dim, that is asleep, that is dead and dying, and their souls will be sold to the devil. Because that's what they did. And what they deserve is the perdition, is the hell, is the fire and brimstone and the torture forever and ever. Amen. And why do I bring all this up, this kind of religious terminology, this theological rigmarole? Because that's indeed exactly what it was about and what it was for. Religion is not to be applied to the small fry, to the little guy, to the anarchist on the street, or the atheist for that matter. Who really cares? They're not affecting things. It's applied to those in great power, even all the way to the greatest powers that there are in the earth. And they have a place made for them since the beginning of time. And they know that. And this is just another reminder. As for me, I'm confident. Do I seem pretty confident? Do you think I'm sweating it? Do you think I'm worried about 2012 or what come back? I only get stronger and stronger and more wiser and more self-realized and highest consciousness. So, who needs to protest what they're doing? Let them do it more and more and let them fall. They will implode, they will explode, they will consume themselves. At this pace that they're keeping to try to desperately hold on to power in the system that's going to destruction, it's only going to be a number of years, and I'm going to see it. I'm going to watch it, and then I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, what I've been doing for decades and decades and lifetimes and eons. And I came from the same place. The reason why I understand all this, folks, the power struggle, the 9/11, the conflicts between the superpowers and corporates, and multinationals, and Four Horsemen, and Big Brother, the reason why I understand it is because I've been there. I've done that. A long, long time ago. And you can choose to wake up whenever you want to. I used to chop a man's head off for looking at me the wrong way. And I did it without any remorse, without any hesitation, and nobody could stand up against me and defend the victims. I would just do it more and more. And I find a lot of pleasure in that. Until, at some point, I just started to wake up. And I looked back on it and I said, that was wrong. There's got to be a better way. There must still be a power structure. There must still be developed global system. We're not using the same rules, we're not using the same people in the same old offices. The United Nations is a good start in that direction. The United Nations is an experiment, as the League of Nations was an experiment. But it's not the permanent edifice. It is not the core of the system. It's just the final stepping stone till we get to that. I've been saying this in so many different ways, and I hope everybody understands, because when you see it, I want you to support it. The new global system, the new way, is going to be power beyond belief. Power to do things that are great and for the glory of our holiness, not our decadence. It's for the glory of our Creator. It's for the glory of our humility and our gratitude. And for our wisdom, our reaching for truth, not our reaching for ignorance, cruelty, violence, senselessness, the egotistical motivation that the leaders use in this day and age. No, it's for the leaders of benevolence, of greatness, of holiness, those that truly serve the interests of the people and the generations of the future, not just short-term interest, not capitalistic, not materialistic, but so much that it must be called spiritual and natural. I don't know exactly what we'll see in the coming months, but the next 3 months may get pretty interesting. There is a protest that's coming up in Washington, D.C. May or may not be there. I made plans, and that is something to watch. Whether they put it on CNN or ABC or all the rest, it's anybody's guess. But quite frankly, it doesn't matter. We have the internet and we have each other. Use the word of mouth. Communicate with everybody that you know. That's why I make these videos. That's why I call people. That's why I email. Whatever you have to do, just let them know what's going on. Any ray of hope, anything that's going on, try and support it if it's for a universal, global, common goal. This is a rally in Washington, D.C. that I'm interested to support. And maybe they will put the people out of business who orchestrated 9/11 and the ones who orchestrate such things as the Norway tragedy, that massacre that happened this past month. Yeah, we can create a better world. We just gotta get out there and say that it's gonna be done.
I continue to try to find out what they want to hear about, and I just did a video, by the way. Why don't we go ahead with this, because this is something that comes directly from YouTube. I don't know their exact words, but they asked me, what do you think is coming up with the problems in the world, the New World Order, you know, the whole change that people expect in the next year? And they want to say, what do I have? Or knowledge, like prophecy, my vision. What do I know? So what is it about? Well, you can say of the future.
Let's say just say I have a question, and you mentioned New World Order, and I'm going to ask you, who the hell authorized the New World Order? I didn't.
Well, I want to hear.
I'm for New World Chaos.
The viewer wants the answer.
I'm for New World Anarchy.
The viewer wants to know what is going to happen in this future that we are looking at. What's going on to the world?
Well, in a year, it's going to be 2012, and a lot of people expect a lot of different things. And to tell you the truth, I've seen this time and again. Jeannie Dixon, or whatever her name, used to be a psychic, and she used to have all these predictions. And,
yeah, she was considered a psychic.
Yeah, she's tailor-made for it. And,
she actually
so, you know, so there's a lot of psychics out there, and I'm thinking, you know, most people are psychics because they're expecting something to happen in the future. And I think that the more and more people that expect something, maybe they're just going to get it. But I'm not going to get a New World Order. I get my New World Chaos.
Who wants the New World Order?
That's what I asked. Who authorized it?
Are they going to create martial law? Or call it and impose it? They already did in Egypt.
I'm waiting for them just so they can get their asses whipped by the people. The people will rule.
Okay, so you show and
I think people will be empowered by what's coming up.
What about this October 2011 rally for protests in Washington, D.C. to take back our future?
How about we take back our land?
From the war and the corporations.
Yeah, well, we got to fight the corporations for our land. That's a God-given...
Are we going to occupy...
The land was a God-given right, and the corporations...
Washington, D.C.
their way
and are they going to shut down Washington, D.C.? Because it has to be.
And look how
that going to happen?
And look how the rich is taking over... I mean, they're buying all the homes. I mean, everybody's becoming a renter class. And it's like everybody's being a slave to all these...
They can't afford it.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
So the future is a lot of people...
I think the future is bleak in that sense. I don't expect to get better. I don't know why I expected Obama to do any good. I'm kind of sorry at this point.
What will happen with Obama?
I'm sorry that I ever went to the polls and cast a vote.
Then the election's coming up.
Because I'm actually embarrassed. I'm actually embarrassed and ashamed of myself for having been fooled again. Because, you know, people time and again have been fooled, and I think it's time to end this tomfoolery.
I'm sorry everybody got fooled.
And so what do I expect in another year? Well, there's going to be an election.
I never was fooled.
You know, you got another election cycle coming up. You got another Olympics coming up.
And Obama, I don't have anything personally against Obama. That I think that he's been bought out and sold, and he doesn't know what he's doing.
That happened long before he got elected. That happened long before he got elected.
Little cobble in there, or
the insurance companies buy them.
That regime, they are doing what they think is best for themselves, but it's all about power.
Well, we're just going to watch.
Are they trying to help them?
We're going to watch. I think in 2012 we're going to watch them fall like dominoes.
What happened to Hosni Mubarak in Egypt? What happened with him?
I don't know. Did he get exiled to Washington?
Leave.
Did he get exiled to Washington, D.C. or something?
They all came out to...
Don't all the rejects go to Washington?
What do they call their square there? Kahira Square? Right in Cairo? I forget the name of the square, but, you know, it's the main area in the center of Cairo. And they were just, like, chanting all night and all day, leave. And he was like, okay, I'm going to leave in September. And they were like, no, leave now. And this is what they're saying in January. leave. And he just sat there, and they burned all these things around him. The whole place. They were going to burn him right out of his palace. And he wanted to put his son in. And said, my son is going to be now because I'm a little bit older, so I'll give it over to my son. And they were like, oh, no. They didn't want that either because he was going to be as bad as his father.
So do the leaders dare go against the people? Just think about it. Once it hits the news, you're going to have a lot of pissed off people. Like,
they only dare at the point of becoming a disgusting killer that clings to their power when everybody wants them out.
Let's consider the purported FEMA camps. You know, what are those, concentration camps for wayward Americans? I don't think so.
Okay,
I think that our politicians are going to be sitting in those. Our politicians have acted against our will, and the politicians are going in the FEMA camps.
Wait, well,
they better build castles.
So answer this. What is the military going to do? Are they going to follow the orders to enslave their own people?
No. I think more than half of them will defect.
So there's a lot of
most of them are going to go with the people.
But last week, I just talked to a Vietnam vet who is very aware and progressive, and he was a little bit active, but he was also disgruntled. He was disillusioned, and he told me that the military actually doesn't have half a brain left to think their own thoughts.
Well, you know what?
They're trained robotic soldiers.
I've heard this. I've heard this.
Can it be possible that the more bigger the army gets, the more dopey they make them?
Well, I think that's a generalization to say about everybody in the military, because I frankly don't.
And by the way, he's going to the October 6th start of the Revolutionary Rally in Washington, D.C. He is. As I said, there's still hope. There's still action.
I think there ought to be a Vietnam-era veterans or vets, or whatever you want to call them, contingency there to, because you know what? We should be the ruling class now, but who's the ruling class?
But nobody goes against Obama, because they can't get themselves to see the truth and go against Obama.
Well,
that's glass.
You think corporations? You think the corporations are going to swing Obama, or you think they're going to pay those billions of dollars for the Republicans to win? Because that's their strategy. You know, they're going to be spending more money than they ever have after the Supreme Court's decision. I think you'll see elections running not in the hundreds of millions, but in the billions for president alone. That's my prediction.
What is going on?
Campaign spending will reach all-time high. It'll probably be 10 to 100 times higher than ever.
But what about what the people are doing? Are they doing anything different? What about the rainbow gathering? Those kind of folks. Are they getting disorganized? They're older, or what is happening?
Well, a lady that went there, and I talked to her just a week ago or so, said that they didn't seem to organize.
So it was up in the northwest corner.
Yeah, up in Washington.
Well, from where those forests. And it's not like it used to be.
Yeah,
well, we believe that source. Now, hold on, take this with a grain of salt, because we don't have a lot of...
Well, next year's will be different.
We don't have direct experience of this.
Next year...
We got from a correspondent coming in. We don't know if they're reliable.
Here's another prediction. Next year's rally, or whatever you want to call it, Rainbow Gathering, I think they're going to attract 10 times more people because it's 2012, and a lot of the closet hippies are going to come out.
So next year's going to be a big year for the Rainbow Gathering.
Yeah, I think.
We don't know where it's going to be yet, but it's going to be starting. You want to get involved early, come like...
I think they need to do it
in June. Start setting up camp in the middle of June next year.
They're going to have to do it somewhere where they can accommodate hundreds of thousands of people.
If you really think...
I think you could expect like a Woodstock gathering.
You think they're going to get big? Well, explain to us then. Why were they not so big this year and getting kind of like...
Because 2011's an off year. Come on, man. Who does anything? 2011 just hangs there.
We're doing videos like crazy, man. And I'm getting more views than I ever did. Are they quality views? Are they interactive views? I don't know.
Are they remote robot views?
How?
Are they government views?
What happened?
You're being watched by everybody in the Pentagon.
Yeah, I hope they watch because mine...
Oh, yeah, they need to know what the future is going to be for them. So what's the future going to be for the Pentagon?
The future of the Pentagon? The future is I don't give a shit. That's what it is. I don't give a shit. They're going to be fucking put into different modes of work. They're going to be given orders from the top. The new top.
Yeah, you mean we're going to turn the war machine into the green machine and actually have a sustainable world?
That word green.
Yeah, well, let's
I like all colors. I think that they're just going to implode themselves down. They cannot work, and they cannot sustain their budget. Their currency, it's fiat currency, and now it's like got so many more holes in it than Swiss cheese. How the hell cannot sustain any longer? What's going to happen?
I think what's going to happen is the whole system's going to crash. I don't know about the environmental, the great earthquakes and the earth splitting in two, or the earth stopping and rotating backwards or flipping over and changing poles. I don't know any of that. I don't know of any evidence to support all those findings. You know, the Mayan calendar thing has really got a lot of people thinking about.
Oh, I don't even mention 2012. We already did a whole video about that. But any other information that we can get that's separate from...
Well, we're talking about next year, and I think that...
I mean, you don't think that the Arab Spring, all these Muslim-based movements, or secular Muslim, that kind of Islamic, phase that we're in that part of the world, which influences everybody indirectly, but you don't think that they have anything to do with the Mayan calendar.
Is the Islamic world?
It's a separate religion. They don't believe in that.
Well, we know they don't believe in that. I'm sure they're aware of them. I mean, look.
Just in 2010 and 2011, they've had enough.
What is there to believe in? All we know about the Mayan calendar...
They want democracy, whatever that is.
All we know about that is that the calendar ends.
They don't want democracy.
That's all we know about the
words in their mouth, because I don't think that they're saying that. We see a lot of signs. It's there in the news if you know how to read it and interpret it. People want a better life. They want the world to change.
Well, they
want a shift of power.
They're going to have to take their land back. They're going to have to take their land back.
They're taking to the streets.
They're going to have to take their land back.
What revolution is going to happen this month? It's August.
Well, I think October event is going to be a prelude.
October.
The October event is going to be a prelude to much bigger events in 2012, and I think you'll see a lot of organization go on.
So talk about the biggest heated, violent thing now is Libya. What's going on in Libya?
Yeah, well, we should be marching in the streets and tearing down the house or whatever.
That's what they say they're going to do.
Well, that's what we should do.
Next thing you know, in September, supposedly they're going to be fighting in
Iran. Mr. Obama made promises to end war, and now he's going everywhere with his war machine.
He's going to be fighting in Iran.
You think he's some kind of a pussycat of the frickin' on a leash of the war machine, man. It's like, yes, Obama. Oh, yeah, right. You could say the war machine is leading Obama. He hasn't done anything to... He hasn't done anything to change
He looks but the excuse is that
and I thought the tolerance for Muslims would be much better, but no, look, they're going to Libya. They're going to just, the war machine's whole goal is to take over the whole entire Middle East.
Big, like, events where, like, a smaller country such as Norway, but yet it's a very advanced country technologically, and they have a lot of money and
yeah, there's
a whole, like, sophisticated society. But yet you get this guy who kills practically 100 people in one day.
Who?
The terrorist guy. I don't remember his name. I don't know.
The guy from Norway or what?
Yeah, in Norway.
Where did you kill him? In Norway?
And the people were camping out in this little isolated area, this more forested area, and he went there and he killed them, and he also set a bomb. And he had plotted this out for decades.
And what was that group that was camping out?
Just random. I think innocent young children that are, just Norwegian.
Ain't he special?
Well, yeah, he is, man. He thinks he sparked a revolution.
No, well, those people are freaking crazy, and we got.
Are we going to see more of this?
God help us, but it seems like we've been seeing more and more of this kind of crap. And let's face it, our society is sick. Our whole structure, the authority is sick. Everything that supports the system is sick, and the corporate rule is what makes it all sick. The people do not rule.
You think it's the corporate?
The people do not rule right now.
He claims he was pro-Israel. He claims he was anti-Muslim countries, and he doesn't like their influence on Europe, and especially Norway. So he wanted to just make a point that he's angry, because this is his way of sparking the revolution. But no revolution came.
No one's going to.
He just killed a bunch of people, random people. He said, well, they're necessary casualties, and now he's in jail.
Well, that's the thing. The guys, I didn't even know about this event. I don't know when did it happen. Well, let's forget it.
It happened last week.
Well, see, I don't get the news. But what is going to be the news?
You did get the news. You got the news on Libya. You got the news on all this other stuff that happened earlier in the year. You got the stuff on the Japanese nuclear accident. You got the stuff on with everybody problems in the government with Obama. You got the problems between the Republicans.
Maybe terrorists are going to go for the nuclear plants.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it seems
Mother Nature can go for the nuclear plants.
Yeah, I mean, Mother Nature does a good enough job.
So is HARP actually going on? Is that what caused the earthquakes in Japan? Is it the military?
No, if anything caused
the motherfuckers there who are paid and actually, like Oliver North, think they're doing fucking booty tube.
No, it was the oil companies fragging the
order goddamn in place, and HARP zapping the fucking people that they want to make us targets.
No, it's oil companies. Oil companies are fragging the earth. Don't you know about their fragging?
Fracturing.
Yeah, fragging. We call them fragging.
Fracking.
Well, fragging is fine.
Yeah, they're going like this, and pumping it, and boom.
No, they're bombing the shit out of the
cracking the strata down there, and it's never going to come together again for millions of years, maybe hundreds of thousands, but that ain't in your lifetime, so for your lifetime, you got to crack strata down there everywhere they do that.
My guess is we're going to see some major...
That's natural gas. That ain't petroleum. That's natural gas.
Natural gas used to be innocent. But no, I don't. I can't accept that. I mean,
this is what's going on all around the world.
We have natural gas on the shale. We got natural gas, and they got to go blowing up shit in the oceans and fragging the earth. Well, we should frag their skulls. That's what I should get for 2012.
Well, what happened to the BP executives? Did they frack them? Huh? Did they frack the BP executives? No, he got poo-poo.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, ta-ta. I missed the yacht club. Oh my goodness, I hate this news. Oh, it took me away from my tea time.
I'm too busy to pay attention to.
My crumpets have gone cold. I don't know about the dead dolphins. It's such a shame. Now I must get back to my crumpets. That's what he suffered.
That's what he said, too.
Did they put him in jail?
Oh.
They didn't do a goddamn thing, and Obama sucked his...
Yep, Obama sucked his bottom.
Yeah. And he brown-nosed all the way back to London.
If it wasn't a corporate election...
Do we accept this?
Be very confused.
Do I look like I accept this?
Who's going to be the Republican nominee?
The polluted Gulf.
It's assumed Obama's
Louisiana boiling up.
But I think
go to New Orleans and start getting angry.
There's going to be resistance against Obama. I think there's going to be something else in place, like...
well, who's going to be the next leader?
Someone who's unconventional.
Why?
This time it's going to be someone unconventional. Obama was a landmark, but we've seen enough bullshit.
The revolution's going to happen. But once you pull the plug, just like they did in Russia, okay? the white revolution, the red revolution, all that kind of junk that was going on, those successive waves of change. Do you know your history? In the 1900s, you get to 1911, you get to 1917, you get to... All right, and what happened? They killed the Tsar, they killed his family, they killed the system, everybody hoped for the best for the next 10 years, and what did they get? And Soviet communism-style repression came right back in, even worse than before.
Yeah, even Karl Marx commented that Marxism would not be a good idea in Russia.
Where would it be a good idea, did he say? Cuba?
United States.
Oh, well, maybe that's what the problem is, that Obama's bringing it in, but they're not being honest about it.
Yeah.
He's a communist socialist, according to some people. Well, Obama.
That doesn't bother me. I mean, the corporate structure says they're part of freedom, but really they're part of our oppression and repression and degeneration.
Well, I don't mind we caught up on Russia a little bit, but let's get back to the point, is that I was saying, they started the revolution, they shot up the leadership, they shot up the authority, they toppled the system, and they had nothing to replace it with. And in came the Soviets, according to Lenin, Stalin, Trotsky, and slaughtered them all, and put themselves in power.
I was born in the era of Khrushchev, and if you'll remember, he wanted to cause some shit in Cuba, so he sent some Russian missiles over there, and the United States put a blockade.
Was he screwing around?
And it was probably one of the most intense days because we were looking at all-out atomic war in 1961, 62, somewhere around there. I remember when I was in grade school, like second grade or something, and these Cubans came into the class and discussed this crisis, and it was interesting listening to these Cubans
talk. That's
talk.
when the Cubans were like...
Well, these were Cuban immigrants.
Yeah, but that's when the Cubans got backstabbed.
In fact, they were in Cuba when Castro...
Was it Ricky Ricardo? Was it Ricky Ricardo's son?
Well,
Ricky Ricardo? The bongo player?
Yeah, no.
Congo?
I don't know. I don't even know who it was came to my class. I don't even know if I love Ruth. Yeah, I think she was probably going in.
She was married to a Cuban, so if she was there in the 60s, she would have gotten in trouble. But...
Well, you know...
No, but not every Cuban is bad. You got American-loving Cubans, and you got communist Castro-loving Cubans. Which do you like?
The persecution of the Japanese during World War II was just horrendous. They put them in concentration camps.
And now
American Japanese, not American Japanese, legitimate American citizens who just happen to be Japanese were sent to prison for no good cause.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
They were in concentration camps. And in this state, they even had one of those internment camps out just in Albuquerque. And my family showed it to me. The foundation, everything else was torn up about it, but they showed me where it was, and man, that's just terrible.
What about the militia?
So we need to talk about these FEMA camps.
No. And aside from that, you didn't get into the fact that there is militia and survivalists out there in America. Are they on the rise?
Oh, they're going to make it very difficult.
I hear that gun sales are up. I hear that they're looking to get supplies out where they are and be able to defend themselves in the revolution.
Well, I just hope we know what they stand for. I mean, you're going to have a lot of...
Surviving. They're for themselves.
Well, then you're talking...
city-state. Fortify.
You're just talking...
Fortify your hills.
You're just talking anarchy then, you know, and that's the way the Irish...
Well, once we destroy the Washington Federal Centralist Order, what are we going to have? Regional power.
Well, that's the thing about Ireland too. They had anarchy, and guess what? The English came in and slaughtered the Basques.
Do you believe the Queen's apology to the Irish last month?
What was that?
She went to Ireland and she was said she was sorry for all this that was going on her whole lifetime and what the British Empire was doing to the Irish. Do you believe that? Excuse me.
I thought the Irish were doing pretty well. I don't know. But do they still rule Ireland or what?
It's divided, but they're making some changes because the fighting has died down. But it's not a
Oh, you mean they're going to let democracy
democracy?
Well, that's
in Britain.
That's not even a.
Is that democracy, or do we have democracy in America?
Is that imperialism? Yeah, that's imperialism.
Well, they were colonial power.
Britain, the United States, and the NATO allies, and
they're just a little bit jealous of what America did.
World order.
Who cares?
You think Russia's going to stand for a world order?
Russia's
going to say, screw you, world order. They have their own.
China doesn't like what's going on in Libya. I mean, NATO. That's Britain and America and NATO doing that. Yeah. craziness.
Yeah, well, their dreams are...
So this is what's happening.
Their dreams are going to
Now, we just gave a 30-minute description. Watch it, play it during a get-together with your friends, during a party. Play it in the background. You hear every once in a while a statement, and then you can play off it for just...
Yeah, why don't you make a video and a video response and attach it to this video?